All right, welcome back, everyone. As you all know, the playoffs have started. Playoff football has started. It has now passed. We are in the divisional round this week. So, Caden and I, not Caden. Wow,
Oof.
that was a force of habit, and I would like to apologize. That was a major force of habit. Debbie and I. That was sad. Debbie and I are going to be breaking down everything that happened in the wild card round of the playoffs. We're going to look forward to the divisional round. Obviously, at this point, we only have is it 4? How many teams are remaining, Debbie? Is it 8 teams?
It'd be
4 games.
right, 'cause we have 4
teams.
games this
Yeah, we have 4 games coming up, so 8 teams left out of 32. So hopefully that means we have the top 8 teams in the NFL. Really looking forward to this week. Really excited to break it down for you guys. Welcome to K&A Football. All right, everyone. So here we are, Debbie and I, here to go over some football with everyone, go over the wild card divisional, our plays of the week, everything like that. But before we get into that, Debbie, how have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Well, we were talking before we started the podcast, and not gonna lie, guys, I'm feeling cooked. School's been hitting pretty hard. The 6 a.m. wake up and the drive, and then the 7:45 class, and then the 4 class. I have 2 days out of the week. I do 4 classes, and it's a lot. So, but we're ready for it. Oh boy, we're ready. How about you?
I've been keeping busy. You know, got the classes going on. I'm a writing center tutor this semester.
Right. I forgot about that.
I mean, it's a great time, you know, honestly, at this point in the semester, as you can imagine, because no papers are due yet.
Right.
I just show up and I get paid to do homework at this point in time, which is pretty great.
It's better than not getting paid for homework.
Exactly. If it was just doing homework, it would be way lamer. It'll probably get pretty lame once people actually start needing help on papers, and I have to do that for like 4 hours a day. But
right,
that's not that time yet. And then obviously watching football, watching football, playing a lot of pool. Actually, my roommate got a 9-ball diamond.
Okay.
We've never really played 9-ball before. We've only ever done like the regular like billiards with the 15 balls and everything like that, like normal pools, how everyone plays. We got 9-ball diamond, trying to learn the rules of that, which is a lot of fun. Like honestly, I think it might be more fun than the regular pool. So
what are the different rules?
Like, from how we understand it at the moment, it's like you have to hit the lowest ball that's on the table.
Okay.
So like if the one's on the table, you have to make contact with the one.
It actually matters.
Yeah. So you have to actually aim. You can't just like blast it and pray.
Yeah. Right.
But then after that, it's like if you just kind of like make any other ball after you hit the one first, then you get another turn that includes the one, or if it like bounces off and hits the 7 and the 7 goes in, you still get another turn.
Okay.
And the balls don't really matter up until you hit the 9. Whoever gets the 9 in wins. So the other balls don't really matter. So you have to kind of like strategize as to like when you're going to hit things in. Am I going to try to hit the 1 into the 9 to get the 9 in?
Right.
I did it with the 5 the other night. It was pretty awesome. So overall, I would say it's a lot more fun than regular billiards. So
cool. Yeah. When I come down there eventually, you'll have to teach me how that all works.
Eventually.
Yep. It'll happen this semester. Trust.
I trust.
4 classes a day won't prevent me from doing it.
I wake up at 6 a.m. What is that? I've never heard of that being an issue. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into our top 3 plays of the week. So this first one is going to come from my personal favorite game from this weekend. Well, my second favorite game this weekend, actually. We'll see my first favorite a little bit later. But this first one is going to come from the Commanders-Buccaneers game. I knew that this one was going to be a really, really fun one. I'm obviously a Baker Mayfield fan, as you can see from the brown stuff behind me. Love Baker Mayfield, love what he's doing in Tampa Bay, so I love rooting for him. And then Jaden Daniels is absolutely, then obviously the coaching staff and everyone in charge there, like they've absolutely turned the Commanders team around from what it has been for the last 2 decades. So let's go ahead and roll this clip. Dying seconds of this game, Commanders are lining up for a very, very short field goal. Looks maybe 20 yards. Puts it up. It's going right, and it doinks in.
That's insane.
I know. I was watching this game with some of the guys that are in the hall here, and they were like, imagine if he pushes this. Imagine if he pushes it. And then it starts to push. It starts to go right, and we're like, oh, man, this could happen. And then it doinks in Chiefs style. They go ahead and get the win. Obviously, really huge for the Commanders. That's their first playoff win since 2005, I believe.
Wow.
So that, I mean, it's been 20 years since they won a playoff game. Really huge for the franchise, obviously. They go on to the next round. We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but they get to take on the number 1 seed Lions. A really tough matchup, but we'll see how that goes for them.
For sure. Something I've always noticed, this is just a little side note, but something I've always wondered about is like whenever they hit that, like it doinks off the upright and then goes in, and then their whole team celebrates and the kicker's like, yeah. But I'm like, okay, also partially, you almost just lost that point. Like you were like this, like I feel like you should be celebrating more if you drill it straight in the middle. You know what I mean? I've always thought that, I mean, like, yes, we're happy he got it in, but it's more like breath of fresh air, like he did get it in, not like he just drilled down the middle, like we're good to go. It's like,
right. That's true. But at the same time, like you say that, whatever, but at the same, Debbie, I can't remember if you did this at one point or not. I can't remember. Also, I'll give you my analogy, and then you tell me if you did this at some point. Imagine you're in the dying seconds. No, not even dying seconds. The final whistle is already blown of the soccer game. You're going to PKs. You're somewhere in the lineup, maybe the last guy, and you take the kick, and it bounces off one of the posts and goes in. Like if you're that last guy, even if you're somewhere in the rotation at all, as long as that ball goes in, you are celebrating like you just won the Super Bowl no matter what. Did you do that? Did you do that in one of our games?
I don't know if I don't think I did it, but I think I've definitely seen that happen before. So I mean, I guess I can kind of get that. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
You're gonna celebrate no matter what. Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air, but it's like I don't even care that I almost missed that. It went in, and that is all that matters in this moment.
That's true. That's a good way to put it, I think. That's just something I've always been like, what?
No, but I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah. No,
Kicker needs to get back to work for this next week.
Right. Yeah. Good job, but then let's hit it. Yeah.
All right, the next play here. This game, it got away. They had us in the first and second half. Not gonna lie. This game is from the Vikings-Rams game. Last couple of minutes of the first half. Still a relatively close game, and then this play that we're about to see is going to happen, and it kind of opens things up pretty drastically. So Sam Darnold takes the snap, drops back with about 5 minutes left to go, and the ball gets stripped, scooped up on the opposing 50, taken all the way back to open this thing up 17-3.
Celebration is wild.
So this is, 3-10. That's manageable. Heading.
Was that a strip, or did it just get kind of knocked out?
Yeah, I think he stripped it. It seemed like his hand was going back, and maybe that got knocked out. Or let's see. It drops back. Does he wind up there? Oh no, he doesn't really wind up. It's kind of like he tries to throw it, tuck it, sort of situation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It just comes out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, 17-3 is a much worse score going into the last seconds of halftime than 10-3 is, especially because they had the ball in a relatively okay position, and here they are. Matthew Stafford also had a play in this game that was actually pretty impressive. He was going down. It looked like he fumbled the ball. The referees signaled the touchdown. They went and reviewed the whole thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a touchdown." And then they like reviewed it because Matthew Stafford was like, "Hey, I actually didn't fumble that ball. Like, go check the tape. I actually threw it." And he did. Like, he actually got his hand just enough. He was just underneath the pile, and he threw it. And Puka was in the area, so it was intentional grounding. Decent play from him. Obviously, it's just kind of lame though, because if the score would have happened, we could have had that. All right, and then our last play comes from my favorite game that happened over this weekend. Debbie, it needs no introduction. Could you please roll the clip? Oh, here it is. Texas, Ohio State. Texas threatening to score. Quinn Ewers drops back to pass, and Big Jack Sawyer strips the ball and takes it 90 yards.
Wild.
28-14. See ya, Texas. Ohio State's in the natty. What are you going to do?
Crazy. And then wasn't it only to add insult to injury, like a couple plays later, their Texas quarterback throws an interception.
Yeah, desperation mode. They need to go down and score quick. Just throws that pick, and that's the end.
It just got even worse. Yeah.
Man. What a great game.
It was a good game, though. I mean, like, it honestly was a very good game in the beginning. And then at the end, it was an exciting game. It built up the anticipation, and then that end part was just insane. Just reveling in victory.
Yeah, definitely one of the more entertaining games that Ohio State has played in this
season.
Newly expanded 12-team playoff. I mean,
yeah,
obviously I would have preferred that they blew them out by 100, because I think that's always fun to watch too, and we just absolutely squash whoever we're playing. But I guess an entertaining finish works too. So I got Ohio State beating Notre Dame by at least 50. Should be a good game. All right, now jumping into the NFL action, breaking down everything that we have here. The first game that we have on the agenda is the Chargers and Texans. This is at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. I was not high on the Texans coming into this game. If you watched the show leading up to it, you would know. The Texans struggled mightily leading into the playoffs. They won their division because the rest of the teams in there are really, really bad. So they win it early, limp into the playoffs, really struggling, low morale. And then they just shock me. Like, the Chargers are just the Chargers. And I really should have remembered that when I was picking who was going to win this game. I should have remembered the Chargers always fumble playoff games. Justin Herbert has had a fantastic year all year. Probably his best season. His wide receiving core wasn't really upgraded, but they stepped up to the plate. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert throws for 242, a touchdown, but 4 interceptions. And that'll get, like, you cannot throw 4 interceptions against pretty much any NFL team and expect to win any games. J.K. Dobbins, tough day for him on the ground, only 26 rushing yards. Ladd McConkey, he had 9 receptions for 197 yards and a touchdown, so that's decent from him. But again, when your quarterback is throwing 4 interceptions, there's not much you can do about that. C.J. Stroud had a day well enough to win. Went 282 on 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Joe Mixon continues to exceed expectations, in my opinion. He went for 106 yards on 25 carries, though, so that's a lot of carries for only 106 yards and a touchdown. So, shout out to the Texans. They get the win. They move on. They will be playing, I believe, the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs in this week's matchup. So that's going to be really, really tough for them, obviously taking on the 1 seed. But getting that win is huge for morale, obviously. I don't really remember the last time the Texans won a meaningful playoff game like this. So good work to them. Good work to everyone on the Texans squad, especially their defense. They forced all those interceptions and turnovers. Chargers just got to figure it out for next year because they have a decent squad around them. Justin Herbert is obviously your guy. Jim Harbaugh is your coach for the foreseeable future. I mean, look what he turned your team from just a handful of wins last year to a playoff contender. Probably should have won this game, but
he threw what, 4 interceptions during this game?
Yeah, 4 interceptions.
And Kadin, the forever Herbert Glazer, said that 2 of them at least were not his fault. So take that as you will. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, when you hit your receivers in the hands, I will say this until the day that I die or until they change it. There should be wide receiver interception stats. Like if your quarterback hits you in the hands or hits you in the chest and it just bounces off and they intercept it, like it's gonna hurt the quarterback.
Some really good coverage on the Texans' part too.
Yeah,
totally.
So it should be a wide receiver stat as well as a quarterback stat. But for the time being, Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions. So sorry, Kadin. All right, the next game that we got here is the
Steelers.
The Steelers Ravens. Obviously, divisional matchup. AFC North matchup. Classic AFC North football. Steelers Ravens. Really down and dirty teams. This game was not particularly entertaining. Not gonna lie. Russell Wilson went 270, 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris only rushed for 17 yards. George Pickens had 87 yards and a touchdown. On the Ravens side, pretty slow over there through the air. 175 from Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 186. That's what we're talking about. 186, 26 carries, 2 touchdowns. He is going to be a threat to be reckoned with during this playoff. I think obviously this is his first time on like a squad that's built to win. I mean, you remember he was on the Titans for his entire career, and the Titans, shockingly, I think they went to a number of AFC title games in a row. They were maybe not in a row, but they were the number 1 seed at least for a number of years in a row. I forget who they had as their quarterback. I was trying to think of this the other day. Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill? I think that sounds right. I think for a number of years, Ryan Tannehill was the Titans quarterback while Derrick Henry was down in Tennessee. And, I mean, Ryan Tannehill was the... let's see. What was he? He was like the Johnny Manziels of the... No, not even the Johnny Manziels. We'll put him as like the Josh Rosen of Kirk Cousins. That's how we'll put him. Like, he was like incredibly mid, but like on the really low end of mid. So the team did enough. They just fed Derrick Henry the rock, and that's pretty much how they won games. They had A.J. Brown for a little bit there, but then they couldn't or didn't want to pay him the money. So they were never really built to win. Derrick Henry is now on a team that I have going all the way to the Super Bowl. They're my pick to win it. So I think that he's hungry. He's obviously going to do everything he can. Rushing for 186 is a perfect way to start. And I mean, if he's going to rush for 186 on 26 attempts, that's your game plan. Just feed that guy the rock. He's going to do whatever it takes to get into the end zone and get you yards. Debbie, did you figure out who the quarterback was there?
I did not.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Tannehill. Kadin will fact check me on that later when he calls me later this week and says, hey, I noticed that you got that wrong. And now he looks stupid. Like, well, that's what you get.
Oh, you're saying if he was on the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah. First 7 seasons at the Dolphins, and then 2019 got traded to the Titans.
Yeah, that sounds right. I was right. See, now Kadin has no reason to call me stupid this week. Unless I say something else. All right. The next game is the Broncos and Bills. And you'll notice that the title for this week's episode is Weed Out Weekend. And I named it that because the first game, the Texans won 32-12. That's a pretty big blowout. Steelers-Ravens was a lot closer. I mean, they did win by 2 scores, but it's okay. This game and at least one other game here, you could argue maybe 2 other games here, really, really weed out. I mean, 31-7, that's rough. The Broncos go down on their very first possession. They score. Like, whoa. Okay. I'm not expecting the Broncos to win, but maybe we have a game on our hands here. Bo Nix, might be that guy. I mean, he's been playing very, very well all year. Very excited to see what he does in the future. Maybe we got a game on our hands. Bills go down. They score, I want to say, a field goal on that first possession. You're like, okay. Broncos ahead. They get the ball back. Can they go up 14-3? The answer is no, by the way. They can't. They did not score the rest of the game outside of that first possession. The Bills then proceeded to just stomp them into the turf over and over and over again. 31-7. Really, really bad. Bo Nix had 144 yards through the air. 1 touchdown. That was in that first drive. Bo Nix also happened to be their leading rusher with 43 yards on 4 attempts. Cortland Sutton only had 75 yards catching, as you can probably figure out from the fact that Bo Nix had no yards. Josh Allen, here's their bread and butter. 272, 2 touchdowns. James Cook, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. James Cook has really come into the spotlight here. I mean, I don't think he was that fantastic of a running back. He was certainly serviceable for most of the year, if not most of his career. And then in these last couple of weeks here, he's really come into his own. Really glad to see that from him. The Bills will go on to take on the, I'm going to find it here, the Ravens. So that's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. I'm really looking forward to that one. Broncos, like I said, congratulations. You had a good year. You had a rookie quarterback in a year where Jaden Daniels doesn't exist or isn't a rookie. Bo Nix probably has this rookie of the year thing on locks. Great season. Really looking forward to see what Sean Payton can do with another young, relatively mobile quarterback in Bo Nix. So congratulations to them, but Bills move on nonetheless. All right, next game that we're going to talk about is the Packers and Eagles. This was another one of those games that seemed like it was going to be close early, and then it really, really took off. The Eagles were only up 10-0 at halftime. So, you're okay, fine. Packers haven't scored, but they're only up by 10. Then the Packers do end up scoring. We end the third quarter 16-3, and you're like, okay, they are pulling away a little bit. Maybe we can do something here. And it was just too much to overcome, too little, too late for the Packers. They lose 10-22. Jordan Love had 212 yards passing. Not the worst in the world, but this is where it got him. 3 interceptions. Again, you cannot throw that many interceptions and hope that you're going to win. Josh Jacobs, he has been their workhorse all year. Kadin complains all the time that, I mean, he'll have like 20, 30 carries in a game and then only have 100 yards to show for it, but a billion touchdowns. That's kind of how he rolled this year. Today, or not today, but on the day they played, 18 attempts, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. On the Eagles front, we got like all of his yards right there in one play. Oh, it's a great touchdown.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That deserves some respect.
I mean, mad respect to him. I mean, he has been that guy for the Packers all year. I mean, obviously, no disrespect to Jordan Love and what he's been able to do this year. But Josh Jacobs has been a tremendous acquisition for the Packers this year. And then, obviously, credit where credit's due to the Eagles. Jalen Hurts did what he had to do, 131 yards through the air. Not the best by any means, but 2 touchdowns, and that's what you need sometimes. Saquon Barkley, 119 rushing yards on 25 carries. So, like, again, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, they are going to be one of those duos. Again, Saquon Barkley, a similar situation to the Derrick Henry one, where it's like you're on a team that is not built to win by any means. You go to 1-2 playoff appearances, I think, in his time with the Giants. And then finally, now he's on a squad that is actually able to win, and he's hungry for it. He didn't end up breaking the rushing record because he was benched the last week of the regular season, but it is still a record for a player on a new team. So, huge respect to Saquon Barkley, obviously. The Eagles should perform very well in the last bit of the playoffs here. They will be taking on the Rams. The Rams have hit their stride in these last couple of weeks. They're a scary team to play at this moment. So that should also be a super, super entertaining game. Debbie, do you have any fantastic takes for how your Philadelphia Eagles are planning on doing this year?
I mean, I hope we get to the Super Bowl. It'll be a really interesting game to watch. I'll most definitely watch this game. I think this Sunday it was like watch the game or get much needed sleep, and I was like sleep. But
you chose sleep over football.
I will definitely be watching this game. You better trust. But yeah.
So we here at K&A Football are looking for an editor/producer. If you have editing/producing skills, you let us know. Go to kafootball.com/apply/careers
and PR manager and social accounts manager and graphic designer. Trust. No, I mean, I don't have any hot takes, but I think we can definitely do it. It'll be a hard fought game if we win against the Rams, and then whoever went out against,
they'll probably have to go against Lions then.
Lions, Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough, but
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for Saquon Barkley. I am not a huge Jalen Hurts supporter.
That's fine.
I think he's kind of annoying. I think his face looks weird.
And you have the Ravens going all the way, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
What happens. All right. Next game we have here, my second favorite game of the weekend, Commanders Buccaneers. I was really, really excited to watch this game, as I told you guys. We already saw the result of that one. Commanders on a last-second field goal win 23-20 off of a doink. Heartbreaking for the Buccaneers. I was rooting for them. I'm not going to lie. I was pulling for the Buccaneers to win this game. Love Baker Mayfield. But I'm not overly disappointed by the Commanders winning. Obviously, it's well-deserved. They played very, very well all season. I'm blanking on his name, and I don't know why, because I've said it like 4 times in this episode already. The Commanders quarterback.
Jaden Daniels.
Thank you. That was not even on my radar. Sam Howell was on my mind, and that is just not it. He was a couple years ago. Jaden Daniels has played very well all year. Very thrilled to see a young quarterback play as well as he has. He went 268, 2 touchdowns. He was also their lead rusher with 36 yards. And then on the Buccaneers side, Baker Mayfield 185 through the air, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving been a stud all year. He's going to be a high fantasy option next year. He went 17 attempts, 77 yards. And then Mike Evans, 7 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown. Been a good year for both teams. The Buccaneers, I want to say this is their second and maybe even third year in a row. I guess their third year in a row of winning this division. No one fact check me on that. I feel like I'm wrong about that. But yeah,
for Jaden Daniels, do you think? And I guess this is your opinion. I know Kadin's opinion is very strong on this, but do you think he's pretty much clinched the Rookie of the Year by
for sure this season? For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's no question about it. Especially, I mean, if there was any doubt in anyone's mind, which there shouldn't have been at this point, if there was any doubt in anyone's mind, obviously winning this playoff game, when like the next guy up would have probably been Bo Nix, and he lost his playoff game. So winning this one is huge, even though you're only really supposed to look at the regular season, but this comes into a factor too. I mean, he's on locks for Rookie of the Year for sure, and this is one of the best rookie seasons we've seen out of a quarterback in a long time, maybe even just like a rookie season in general, honestly. Really glad to see what he's been able to do with this team.
You were saying the Commanders, like the amount of times they've gotten into the playoffs, or which team were you saying?
Yeah,
I was saying it's not a 3 years. I mean, they made a wild card in 2020.
When was the last time they won a playoff game?
2005.
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay, I got that right.
Okay.
Yeah, the last time they won a playoff game was 2005.
Yeah.
So fitting that they would win this one against Tampa Bay.
Right.
So Fantastic work from the Commanders. I don't, if you are a fan of the podcast, you would know that I've been an avid Commanders hater ever since they decided to change their name. I've gone on many a spree of calling them anything I want, not called the Commanders. But every now and again, as a fan of a really bad team myself that has struggled for a really long time, when I see a team that starts to perform well after being bad for forever, I can't help but sympathize, empathize, whatever thighs you want with them. I feel for them, and I'm very glad to see them win. And maybe one day, Cleveland Browns will also win a playoff game. It won't happen.
Wait, quick.
Yeah.
Funny side note. But in the 32-man fantasy league that we were all in, which was very serious, I think it was in 32. Kadin's name was Daniels in the Lions Den. Or maybe it was 6-man. Was that 6-man?
No, that was the 32-man.
And it's just funny to me that they're actually going to end up playing
the Lions.
Right, in the playoffs. Yeah. Side note.
Kadin might be a prophet.
Maybe.
That might be a heresy that I just said. But
slightly.
No lightning yet, so maybe I'm not wrong. All right. Moving on.
Vikings and Rams.
Vikings Rams. I haven't got struck yet. Vikings Rams. Obviously, like I said, this game opened up towards the end of the first half, and then it was kind of a runaway from there. The Vikings only managed to score field goals in this game, so that was really not going to do it for them against this Ram squad who put up 10 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter. Field goals aren't going to cut it for you. Sam Darnold, 245 through the air. Oh wait, I lied, everyone. I am incredibly sorry for lying to you. They did score a touchdown. They just happened to miss or go for two, and it just didn't end up working for them. Sam Darnold did have a touchdown and 245 yards, one interception as well. Aaron Jones had 48 yards on the ground on 13 attempts, and then their leading receiver was TJ Hawkinson with 64 yards. Whoopsies. And then on the Rams side, Matthew Stafford had 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, as well as that super awesome little flick of the wrist underneath the offensive and defensive lineman to make sure that he didn't fumble or take the sack. Kyron Williams, their leading rusher, obviously 76 yards on 16 attempts. And Tyler Higbee was there. Yeah, here's the play. So he's getting dragged down. And he just happens to flick it away. Little forward pass. It really looked like a fumble in real time. Yeah, that's it.
This post is on Twitter, and someone's saying like this angle shows that it wasn't like it should have been a Rams touchdown or Vikings touchdown.
No, because I feel like he did intentionally throw that. Like, I mean, that angle is like not the best angle. Sure. I mean, that's like obviously one angle where it's like you can't really see his fingers, but on a more upfront angle, you do see that like he is intentionally flicking that ball forward. His hands on top of it and everything. So, and it was in the direction of Puka Nacua. I mean, he was within like 2 yards of where the ball landed. So, I mean, a heads up play from him. I mean, I don't really remember what the situation was at this exact moment, but to not take the sack and hopefully recognize there was a receiver in the area, or maybe he was just kind of flicking it away and hoping there was a receiver in the area.
Yeah, it does kind of look like from this angle that he's definitely flicking that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, like on the field, they ruled it a touchdown. Then the officials got together and they talked about it and they're like, yeah, okay, it's a touchdown for the Vikings. And then they're like, okay, we're going to take this to like an actual review where we go watch it a bunch of times. And they're like, okay, we lied. He actually did flick this ball forward, not a touchdown. And the funny thing about this game is it was held, well, not funny. It was supposed to be a Rams home game. But with the current situation with the fires in California, they had to move this game to Arizona. So this was held in the Cardinals Stadium, which, to be fair, there are only like 15 Rams fans in the world, and Preston Bowman is 3 of them. So
they had to travel all that way.
They had to travel all that way to Arizona. The stadium was about 50% Vikings fans and 50% Rams fans. So when they ruled that it was an incomplete pass, the whole stadium went crazy. Like, you would have really thought it was a Vikings home game with the way that stadium reacted. But the Rams get the win. Like I said, they have hit their stride late, so scary team to play. No one wants to face them right now, and they will be taking on the Eagles, like I said. So that does it for our recap. Not a whole bunch of games to talk about. Obviously, we'll get less and less. We'll try to get more and more detail as we go. So next, we're going to go ahead and review the divisional round games, talk about those real quick, and give our picks. But before I do that, I need to tell you guys about our friends over at K&F Construction. K&F Construction has been serving the Northeast Ohio community for over 20 years, specializing in composite decks. K&F Construction takes the time and effort to provide the service and product you deserve for your home. You can call K&F Construction today at 330-575-2465 for a free estimate. Again, that's 330-575-2465. You can also visit kfdex.com, which is linked in the description. K&F Construction, let us build your dream backyard. All right, Debbie, let's go ahead and talk about these upcoming games in the divisional round. So, first up, we have the Texans playing the number 1 seed Chiefs at home. Do you have any fantastic insight for us or predictions on who's going to win this one?
Oh, you know me, always with the fantastic insights. I mean, I'm taking Chiefs on this one, simply just because of how they've been playing and, their voodoo magic that they keep maintaining. You know what? Maybe that's just because I think they've become the New England Patriots to most people, but I don't want them to make the Super Bowl this year. I think they've just gotten lucky way too many times for it to just pan out through the entire season. So in that case, I am hoping I can see them winning this game, but I'm hoping that they're stopped the next round. But it would be pretty interesting storyline if the Texans ended up beating the Chiefs and then putting them out of the playoffs. That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. Obviously, neither you or I think it's necessarily going to happen. I'm going to pick the Chiefs as well. I mean, they are, as lucky as they are the number 1 seed. You can't really overlook that every time just by saying, oh, the refs, oh, the magic, oh, whatever. But I agree that at some point their luck is probably going to catch up to them. Maybe that comes in the form of a really, really tight game that they actually have to win using their own skill. Maybe it'll come in the form of they actually do lose a game. Maybe the other team gets lucky, something crazy like that. But I am going to pick the Chiefs here. Texans have had a great year. I didn't pick them last week. I probably should have. Clearly, they won. But I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one.
Sounds good.
Next one is the Commanders and Lions. Commanders playing the number 1 seed Lions, obviously, in the NFC. So, Commanders have had a great year. Been really thrilled to watch them. The Lions have just been a powerhouse all year. And if you think for even a moment that Dan Campbell is going to punt on any 4th down, you are out of your mind. I do not care if it is 4th and 46 and they are on their own 1-yard line. Dan Campbell is pulling out a screen pass.
Yeah.
To his 6th string long snapper to take it 99 yards to the house. It's going to happen. Mark my words right now. Dan Campbell is not punting. He is not kicking a field goal. I'm going to go Lions by 100 solely because they will not kick any field goals or punt.
Currently, this is just interesting, but the line for Washington, they are plus 9.5 in the betting markets, and Detroit is obviously minus 9.5. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Pretty close.
It is pretty close. I guess surprisingly low. I would have thought it would have been a greater division. But
yeah. Who are you picking for this one, Debbie?
I'm going to take the Lions on this one. I think, like what you said, like they've just really turned it on this season. And part of me also hopes that they do end up either getting really close to the Super Bowl or getting into the Super Bowl, just because they kind of need a good season. And they've had a good one, but like I think it'd just be a pretty big redemption arc for them to just kind of come out of nowhere. They've been trying to build for a long time, and for that to actually pay off would be pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. I mean, they made it to the NFC Championship game last year, fell a little bit short to the 49ers. So hopefully they can get it done this year. I think it'd be really awesome. Next one is Rams Eagles. Like I said, Rams have hit their stride late. No one really wants to play them. Scary team to be playing this point in the year. But the Eagles, Kadin and I have said it before, probably the most complete team in football. Their defense is stout. Their quarterback play is solid at worst. And then Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley. The only thing that can mess this up for the Eagles is Nick Sirianni trying to outthink everyone. Like, oh, well, it's 3rd and 15. They're going to think that we're going to throw it. So we're going to run it. But then they're going to expect me to run it.
Yeah.
So they're going to expect me to think that they're going to think that I'm going to throw it. So I'm going to punt. That's the Nick Sirianni way. That's the only guy that can mess it up for him. But regardless of this, the talent is too great on the Eagles for me to not pick them. So I'm going to pick the Eagles.
As will I. And honestly, if they didn't continue after this round, I wouldn't be upset. They've made plenty of playoff games in the last couple of years. And I think that they can improve slightly, sure up the edges next season. But yeah, Nick Sirianni, that needs to be kind of taken care of a little bit. He's I don't know if that means a new head coach necessarily, but I mean, it's hard because it would be hard for me to see them firing Nick Sirianni just because they have had a good season. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, they've had so much success with him that it's like, as long as he keeps winning, there's nothing you can really do about it. Yeah, but I mean, he is like that Kevin Stefanski kind of guy where it's like, okay, it's 3rd and 1. Everyone knows you should run it, but instead we're going to throw it 50 yards down the field. And you're like, what earth was that play call?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. The last one that we have to review here is the Ravens and Bills. Ravens at Bills in this one. This is going to be, hopefully, game of the year. I mean, Bills have been on fire. Josh Allen has had his best season of his career. Lamar Jackson has had another MVP level season. Derrick Henry turning into that guy. If Zay Flowers can perform well in this game, they'll have a great day for the Ravens. This one is really, really tough for me. I'm obviously going to pick the Ravens because I picked them winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to take them, but it should be really close, and I'm really excited to watch this game.
I think something else that's interesting is you kind of got 2 potential MVPs going head to head. Here's a random stat line I found on Twitter to throw up there, but who knows? Who knows what will happen?
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. Maybe Kadin and I talked about this, but I mean, everyone talking so much about how Josh Allen deserves to win the MVP, and he's had such this great year. And I mean, you see here, like Lamar Jackson has better stats. His QBR is better. He has more yards. He has more touchdowns. He has less interceptions.
He's almost 1,000 more yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think even Joe Burrow has better stats than Josh Allen. So I really don't see a world in which Josh Allen wins the MVP. I mean, he's had a fantastic year. Don't get me wrong. This is his best season by far. But I mean, Lamar Jackson having the year that he has, how deep they are in the playoffs, I would not be shocked at all if he wins MVP for another year in a row.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Did you already pick for this game?
I took the Ravens in this one.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to go for the Bills. I do think the Ravens will win, but I'm taking the Bills in this one just because why not?
It's fair, I guess. Can't argue with why not.
I can see it. I feel like the Bills have been able to just pull it off.
This is true. It should be an exciting game. I hope for a firefight. I hope for no defense in this game, honestly. Yeah. Let's make this game 100 to 100. I
agree.
All right. Well, that does it for our recap of the Weed Out weekend. Obviously, some teams that maybe shouldn't have belonged in here, got kicked out pretty early. But hopefully, we are left with the best 8 teams in football at this point. Looking forward to this weekend, and we will be right back here next week to break down the divisional round and look towards the conference championship. The season is closing quickly, and we're really excited to be here with you for all of it. So we will see you next time. Thank you for watching.